A pale sun stretched its first thin fingers over the rolling savannah, brushing the earth in muted gold. The air trembled with a quiet weight, carrying the scent of damp soil and dry grasses, the subtle tang of distant water, and the lingering musk of creatures that had passed through this land in the night. A small herd of buffalo grazed near a shallow river, their hooves pressing into the soft mud. Among them, a newborn calf trembled, fragile and unsteady, its legs bending under the raw weight of life it had only just begun to know. The air was still, yet not silent. Somewhere beyond the gentle wind and the whisper of grass, a presence stirred, an intelligence older than memory, honed by the sky and the hunt. High above, a shadow cut across the sunlight, vast and deliberate. Wings immense and silent, folded, then spread, catching the air with measured precision. The giant eagle, its eyes dark and unblinking, circled with patient intent. It had learned the rhythms of this land, the movements of its creatures, the vulnerabilities hidden in open spaces. Its talons, curved and deadly, were instruments of inevitability, honed to seize life in a single decisive moment. Below, the mother buffalo nudged her calf, her instinctual caution invisible yet keenly felt. The herd moved with cautious rhythm, a living pulse that extended across generations. Yet they were unaware of the calculus that had begun in the sky, a calculation older than any creature present, opportunity and survival, hunger and risk entwined. On a nearby ridge, the early humans observed from a distance. Their eyes were sharp, unclouded by imagination, trained instead to parse every shadow, every sound. They had encountered predators before, measured them, sometimes fought them, more often fled. But this was different. The eagle above, larger than any they had seen, a master of flight and death, had its gaze fixed on a target that was not yet aware of the danger it faced. The humans crouched low, muscles coiled, senses stretched taut. Each heartbeat echoed in the silence between them and the scene below. They did not yet act. They watched, calculated, and felt the tension that comes from being small in a world that is not made for them. The eagle began its descent, folding wings, a phantom of shadow and muscle. The calf faltered, the tremor of its legs betraying its vulnerability. The mother bellowed, a sound raw with instinctive urgency, her body bracing against the inevitability of claws from above. The humans moved simultaneously, quietly, almost imperceptibly, navigating the slope with the fluid caution of those who understood that a single misstep could end everything. One of the adults carried a sharpened stick, a crude instrument, yet in this moment it represented leverage over the elements and the living dangers of the land. The decision was not taken lightly. To intervene was to step into a moment governed by forces both visible and invisible, where life and death hung in precarious balance. The eagle struck. Air erupted into motion as talons descended, the rush of wind and feather folding into a violent, purposeful arc. The calf cried, a sound high and fragile, a piercing note that carried across the plain. The mother charged, horns lowered, body trembling with adrenaline and fear, forcing the predator to adjust mid-flight. The humans seized the moment. One lunged, stick extended, intercepting the eagle's descent with a force born of instinct and observation. The impact rattled the silence, a collision of intention and survival. Feathers scattered like fallen leaves, talons scraped against earth, the creature above recoiling, wounded yet undeterred. In the chaos, the humans acted with synchronized precision. Another leapt, grabbing the calf, pulling it from the immediate danger. The herd recoiled, uncertainty and protective instinct rippling through the group. The eagle rose again, circling, assessing the miscalculation, hunger unappeased. Yet it did not retreat entirely. It had learned to persist, to measure risk and to adapt to resistance. Above, it wheeled, immense wings tracing the air like shadows over time. a reminder that the world was older, larger, and more indifferent than any single creature, human or animal, could ever dominate. The humans held the calf, pressed it close, murmuring sounds that were less words than vibrations of reassurance, a bridge of understanding across species. Their own hearts pounded in rhythm with the fleeing adrenaline, the raw edge of fear sharpened to survival. They had chosen a path neither dictated by instinct nor by imagination alone, but by a nascent understanding of consequence. This moment, brief and fraught, was a hinge upon which future decisions would later turn. It was an early encounter with a reality that demanded awareness, precision, and courage, forces that would echo across millennia in human behavior. Hours passed, shadows shifted. The eagle, persistent but cautious, withdrew to a distant cliff, nursing its hunger, recalibrating for the next opportunity. The calf, pressed against the humans, shivered but did not fall. Life persisted, fragile and relentless. The wind carried scents of dust and grass, of iron-rich water, and a fear that had passed through several forms. In the quiet aftermath, the humans understood, without words, the weight of what had occurred. They had influenced the course of another life, altered the flow of predator and prey, and touched, however lightly, the mechanics of survival itself. Time stretched and folded in the vast openness. The humans did not linger long. They retreated along the ridge, eyes scanning, movements deliberate and unhurried. They carried with them not triumph, but understanding, the subtle knowledge that the world was neither cruel nor kind, merely persistent. Their awareness of the eagle, of the buffalo, of the terrain and the unpredictable arcs of consequence had deepened. Each step across the plain was a negotiation with forces that were both immediate and eternal. A conversation conducted without language, but with intention. The calf's mother returned cautiously, sniffing the air, scanning for residual danger. She nudged her offspring, teaching the fragile creature the rhythm of the herd, the measures of vigilance. Life continued, delicate and unbroken, each creature bound by necessity and instinct. Above, the eagle circled once more, wings stretched in a vast pattern of endurance, unyielding in its hunger, patient in its strategy. It would strike again, as survival demanded, as evolution dictated, and the humans had learned that their intervention was temporary, a brief ripple in an ocean of inevitable patterns. Evening descended with quiet inevitability. Colors shifted in the sky, muted gold to soft crimson to deepening shadow. The humans made camp, distant from the water and herd, their movements economical and careful. Their bodies bore no mark of victory or pride, only the weight of presence, the quiet calculation of risk survived, and the lingering understanding that every action carried forward into the future. They ate, rested, and observed, embedding memory into muscle, into instinct, into the evolving architecture of survival. Night fell fully. Stars emerged, ancient and cold, pinpricks of light in a vast canvas that stretched beyond comprehension. The wind carried whispers of earlier events, of predator and prey, of decisions taken and avoided, of the fragile dance that defines life. Somewhere beyond the ridge, the eagle rested, talons gripping rock, eyes unblinking, hunger a constant companion. Below, the herd slept, ever alert, calves nestled among larger forms, learning the unspoken laws of the land. The humans, too, slept lightly, their minds attuned to sound, shadow, and movement, already integrating the lessons of the day into the blueprint of experience. By dawn, the landscape had shifted in subtle ways. Tracks left in mud traced paths of courage, fear, and intervention. Feathers caught in brush hinted at struggle and persistence. Life, in all its forms, had been tested and persisted. The humans moved again, cautious, measured, shaped by the encounter. The buffalo calf now bore memory it could not yet articulate, guided by instinct sharpened through near loss. The eagle watched from a distance, patient, calculating, eternal in its role within the hierarchy of survival. The sun rose higher, shadows receded. The plain seemed to exhale, a momentary calm in the relentless continuity of existence. The humans continued their journey, small forms moving with intent, leaving behind traces of decisions that would resonate quietly through the long story of life. The eagle, still above, traced arcs in the sky, an embodiment of force and persistence. The buffalo herd resumed grazing, alert but undisturbed, life flowing in a fragile rhythm across the millennia. Time itself seemed to slow. The memory of the encounter lingered not as a narrative, but as a shift in awareness. Humans, animals, and predator alike intertwined in subtle negotiation with survival. Each heartbeat, each movement, each decision reverberated across a web of consequence, quiet yet profound. And beneath the vast, unchanging sky, life continued, unceasing, uncelebrated, and inexorably drawn forward by forces both known and unknowable.